Today I'm really pleased to bring to you Matt Gupwell, who is our ED&I lead at CZ, and also the owner of Think Neurodiversity. And Matt's been and continues to be really influential, incredibly important in us helping make sure that we assist our users to advertise, attract and screen in a more inclusive way. So that's enough from me today. Thank you, and I'll pass over to Matt. Thank you.
I'll check. I've got a loud voice, but I can hear myself. That's fine. Good afternoon, everyone. So, I'm Matt. I'm from Think Neurodiversity. I'm not sure how the Slido's working for this. You may, if you jump on Slido, see a series of questions now. They're true or false. So can I get you all just to do that now? I think there are 10 questions. I say I think because I can't remember, and I wrote them. Blame ADHD. So you're not going to see the answers to these yet. I just want you to take a good look at me, know what Adam's just told you and what you know of me. Unless you've stalked me already on my website, and that's cheating. And I'll come back to the answers midway through this short talk. So try not to think too much about these. You're probably going to be right or wrong. Can only go in one of two ways. And while you do that, I'll tell you who I am. Oh, look, my hair was short then. So, my name's Matt, I'm 49 years old. Yes, I run a small consultancy called Think Neurodiversity. I work as a consultant with businesses like CZ and many others, helping them understand what this whole thing is. And I also work with individuals who have particularly ADHD and autism to help them make sense of the world as somebody living with those conditions. So that's what I do. Now, here's the fun bit. I've now got slightly less than 20 minutes to talk to you about one of the single most complex topics in the world of diversity and inclusion. So wish me luck. Okay. The good thing is most of you know a lot about this. So, first of all, those terms on screen, it may be a bit small, are really important to me. Language matters when I talk about this. So let me just go back. So this is running. Neurodivergent means a person whose brain functions different from what is considered to be a medical model of norm. Neurodiverse is, well, we are neurodiversity, whether you have a condition or not. We are all neurodiversity. Neurotypical, neuronormal is anyone whose brain is whatever normal is. And neurominorities is a way of describing anyone that feels they belong to a certain subset, a certain group, whether that's autism or ADHD. You may also hear people in your workplace use other terms. Now, during this presentation, I might use the term ND. For me, that means neurodiversity. It could mean neurodistinct. It could mean normal, excuse me. So some of the other ones that are interesting, things like neurotribes, it's a way of collecting ourselves. Neuroqueer is not as new as you think, came out in the late 90s. It just means that there's a massive crossover when we talk about intersectionality between people who are neurodivergent and considering themselves to be members of the LGBTQI plus community. So it's not an unusual thing. There's a lot of research about that, and it's typically called neuroqueer. So here's a big question then. Why can't it be ignored? Well, let me show you this. If you take the global population of the UK, as broadly speaking, 68 billion people, and go back to there, 15 to 20% are known to be, and I'll come back to that, neurodivergent. Broken down into some of the more known things, 5 to 10% are known to have ADHD across all age groups. 1 to 2% across all age groups are known to be autistic. Okay, think of that figure of the total population while you look at these. You could then look at 9 to 10% having dyslexia, 1 to 3% having OCD, and about 0.5% of the total population having Tourette. Those are not small figures by any stretch of the imagination, but let me just point something out. Any of those figures that I just showed you are only ever based on people that have a piece of paper from a clinician that says they've been diagnosed. Personally, when I consult with people and when I train in companies, I tell them to at least double all of those figures, at least. Because the amount of people, particularly since COVID, which I'll touch on, who now have got the understanding that they're neurodivergent has grown exponentially in the last 3 years. There has been a rise, and it's not TikTok's fault before anyone says it is. It's got nothing to do with TikTok, apart from, actually, believe it or not, there's some good information out there. So there are more than these figures. We know that. Now, hopefully you can read those. And go back there. Just take a look at that image. Those, to me, are all attributes that I think, if you were looking for talented candidates, would be quite useful, depending on the job. Concentration, fine detail processing, adaptability, empathy, observational skills, and yet they are all inextricably linked to conditions. But I guarantee if I walk out onto the street now and I said to 100 people, describe autism, they'd tell me about deficits, can't, won't, struggle with. Yes? Tell me about ADHD. They'd do the same. Right? We don't focus on these anywhere near enough. And the question I would like to ask you is, why don't we focus on that stuff? Why in our recruitment processes are we more focused on a label that might scare us than a conversation about what does that mean to you? Hi, Matt, what does your ADHD mean to you? Damn, I just gave you an answer. Right? What it means to me is an awful lot. It means my autism and my ADHD allows me to do this for a living. I've stood on stages in front of 35,000 people for an entire evening hosting events. But if I tell you I'm autistic, someone in this room thinks you shouldn't be able to do that. Shouldn't you be shy? No, I'm a show-off. Always have been, always will be. That's why I do this. But I'm autistic, right? So we've got to understand where the strength model should come into it. And this, again, is really interesting. There's an organisation, a charity called Neurodiversity in Business. If you don't know them, please look them up. They did a massive piece of UK-wide research recently, surveyed over 950 businesses and individuals, and they asked individuals and organisations what they knew about this topic. Now, that is 975 individuals that identify as neurodivergent, highlighting what they think they're good at, not what they're not good at. Hyperfocus is at the top of the list. Do you all understand what hyperfocus means? You're aware of this term, right? This ability to get a piece of work done as long as I'm fired up by this ability to master a project or a skill. That is a phenomenal attribute for someone to have, as long as you understand that the opposite of hyperfocus might be that they might be distracted by things that others aren't. They may need the right conditions in which they can hyperfocus. Does that make sense? We've got to look at how we support people to, and sorry, I'm going to come back to the lovely lady from BT, and I'm terrible with names, I pay no attention. I loved what you said about this as a theory. We've got to look at not an authentic version of themselves, because I'm with you, dressing gown and cocktail sounds fantastic to me. We've got to look at the best version and enabling them to do their best work and what conditions they need to do that. So here's a question: why is changing practices the key to accessibility and success? Well, you've mostly answered this. I think I've heard a lot of conversations about this, but I'm just going to throw that question up. First person, shout out what happened on the 26th of March, 2020. Lockdown, okay? What did all of your businesses have to do after that date? Well, apart from work from home, yes, that's the obvious one. Did you all have to adapt? Did you have to change the way you did things literally on a dime? Change the way you communicated, change the way you had meetings. What about change the way that you recruited? Right? You had no choice. Yet, 3 years down the line, I'm talking to organisations about new practices, new systems, new technologies, and we're going back to, oh, wouldn't that be difficult though? Well, that sounds a bit like that's a bit of hard work. That do we really need to change? You did it once when you had no choice. That's the bit I'm trying to get people to focus on. So how did it affect neurodivergent people? Now, this is in conversations I have when I work with individuals and when I train, okay? How did it affect neurodivergent people, lockdown, in terms of applying for jobs? Oh, they were much happier. Oh, they were delighted. Absolutely delighted. Processes became shorter. There were fewer, if any, group tasks. If you ever try doing group tasks effectively on a Zoom breakout room, it doesn't work. Interview stress was dramatically reduced because lots of interviews, if not all, were conducted online, from home, in people's safe spaces. For the first time, recruiters therefore stood more chance of seeing the real person because they were comfortable rather than somebody who was out of their comfort zone, riddled with anxiety about getting there. And, quite frankly, only the top half needed to be dressed smartly because most of it was PJs and slippers. Be honest, you all did it at least once. Or shorts, right? So the fact is, people were able to relax. So where does technology come into this? What's the changing technologies and how does it help you? Well, let's focus on this a minute. Traditionally, when I ask people that I work with about their views of recruitment, excuse me, this is auto-playing and it wasn't when I rehearsed it. When I ask them about their views of recruitment, those are the things they highlight. Anxiety is always top of their list. The anxiety about interviews and the whole process is enormous. There is a massive conversation about the inability to understand vague questions in interview processes, not enough time to process questions in interviews, an inability to therefore feel they're presenting the best version of themselves in interviews, and stress about getting to an interview in the first place is sky high. This is the first time I've been to London in 3 years today. I do 99.9% of my work from home, okay? I'm not severely impacted by my conditions, but I will tell you this, I had a wobble. I struggled. Yes, I was anxious, and I'm pretty much okay normally. Imagine if I was more severely impacted and suddenly had to make my way for an interview. How do we reduce that? There are things you can do. Talk to me on a round table. So how can technology help? Well, these are some of the things, again, that I've had other people talk to me about, the things they love to see. So what's an accessible website? If you've got any web designers in here, I don't mean your CSS scripts and I don't mean your HTML. I mean simple things. There's a company out here who do it and other things like Userway. Things that allow somebody to get on a website and feel, oh, I'm looking at an organization that gets me, because they can click a button that changes fonts, color schemes, text sizes, contrasts. Yes? That is a really good way to signal that we're trying to help from the outset. Where necessary, have an applicant website so that once someone has sent the application in, there is a dedicated page that tells them step by step what next. Why are we still ghosting applicants? Why does that happen so frequently? Why don't we tell people no thank you as often as we could? It's an automated process, but a simple page that says this is what you can expect next really helps. Clearer job descriptions, more honest salaries, not OTE. People with autism, me included, I don't know what that means. What's my realistic? What am I going to take home? I need to know that. We've mentioned this before. The actual interview questions sent in advance is not cheating. It's not cheating. It's giving somebody an opportunity to process that question, rehearse it, and then answer it. You are still getting their genuine answer. They're not cheating, but it will mean that they are more relaxed. I still say interview online where possible. For some people, it will just work, particularly if they're going to be home-based anyway. Why wouldn't you see how they come across on Teams or Zoom or wherever it may be? And the ability to send video introductions as well as, or instead of, or rather than CVs. Now, yes, I'm here with CZ. This is one of their great products. This is what they do. But I'm a genuine believer that my CV would tell you very little about me. Okay? Very little. At that point, can I pull up the answers to those questions? Have we got that? Okay. I'm not sure whether these will come all at once or one at a time, so we'll see what happens next. So you answer some questions about me, and I want to give you the answers now to explain something. Go for it.
Hold on.
Oh, all right then. Sorry, I thought that was just a dramatic pause.
Is that?
No, still says truthful. You're going to ask me to remember them now, aren't you?
This is more bloody technology, eh?
Honestly, everyone else's Slido works, but not mine. Hey, there we go. Right. Am I autistic? Yes, I am. I'm diagnosed autistic with something called pathological demand avoidance, as in don't ask me to do something, or don't tell me to do something, ask me nicely and give me options. Okay, next one. My chosen religion is Jedi. No, it's not. Behave. I'm agnostic. Get out of town. Am I disabled? Yes, I am. Yeah, I have clinically, severely disabling, combined subtype ADHD and autism. I am disabled. Yep. Am I straight? Nope. Bisexual. I'm proud. I had 20 full-time jobs before I was 35. You're correct. That's false. I actually had 35. I was sacked from 30 of them, and I left the other 5. This is why I work for myself. I'm a semi-professional ninja. It's true. Ha! Google Ninja Warrior UK Jester in the break. You'll see. Right. I've taught over 80,000 people to juggle. False? No, absolutely true. My previous career was as a circus skills instructor, and I genuinely taught 80,000 people to juggle, and yes, I counted. I'm dyslexic. True. Yes, I am. I think that was the last one. I was diagnosed with ADHD as a child. Yeah, correct. That's false. I was diagnosed at 47. Well, 46 rather. I have a master's degree in business. Behave. I've never finished anything in my life. No. God. No. Oh, thank you for the confidence boost, though. Right, so. Good grief. So what I'm trying to highlight is, unless I volunteer that information, you may never know it. Yet the process that we have currently doesn't inspire people to volunteer all the information that might be useful to you, does it? You can put a tick box on your website that says, are you disabled? How do you identify? What you have to do before that is make them feel it's worthwhile doing that and that they won't be judged negatively. The question is, how are you going to do that? So how can technology help recruiters? Now, this gets really interesting. I had a fascinating conversation on a roundtable about data and about what certain systems do and how you capture data and what you need. Done properly at recruitment stage, technology can help you identify and remove bias. It can actually help you ensure all of your KPIs are met in line with your inclusion policies. By changing recruitment processes, you can attract a wider talent pool, including those neurodivergent candidates. And you can categorically ensure that all applicants feel able to disclose relevant information. They have to want to tell you this stuff. If they don't want to tell you it, you may never know until it becomes a performance management issue. What would you prefer if you think about it? People feeling able to say, I have ADHD and autism, when you speak to them first of all, or not finding out until the wheels have fallen off and we are in performance management. I only say that because that's what happened to me too many times before I was diagnosed. So what are the challenges facing the industry? Now, this is interesting because I got set a spreadsheet before today of the questions as some of you have asked. That's them. I've got 10 minutes to answer all of those. I'm good, but not that good. But what I can do is summarize them. Okay, I've spoken to a lot of my contacts on LinkedIn and a lot of the people I work with, and I break it down into this. From a recruitment point of view, the biggest thing I get a sense of is people are scared of getting it wrong, whatever wrong means. I don't want to say the wrong thing, do the wrong thing, ask the wrong thing. People are desperate to show that they're removing unconscious or even existing bias. There is still this resistance to adopt new technologies. There is a massive lack of specific knowledge and therefore training. There are a limited number of applicants therefore feeling that they can apply, which all comes back to this thing of you're scared of getting it wrong. If we're scared of making mistakes, somebody said it before, we'll never learn. From a candidate point of view, all of the neurodivergent candidates that I speak to already feel excluded at the application stage. They haven't even got anywhere and they're feeling like they haven't got a chance. Job adverts are still vague. OTEs instead of actual salaries don't help anyone. There's a lot of knowledge that when we get to an interview, if we're being interviewed by somebody that doesn't understand our neurodivergent condition, they might not know why we're behaving a certain way. Does that make sense? I might need to fiddle with something to calm my nerves. But if you think that's a sign of nerves or not paying attention, that could cause me a problem. Having training, having an interview that says, look, it's okay, do what you need to do, we just need to go through the questions, makes a difference. And then candidates actually telling me still that they feel like if they disclose their neurodivergence, they are a problem to be solved, not an asset. Nobody wants to feel like a problem to be solved. I don't need fixing. I don't need curing. I need people that I work with that go, yes, you're mad as a box of frogs, but you do a good job. That's great for me. But if I feel like everyone's trying to understand me and fix me, it won't work. So what can you do? These are my most simple suggestions for you all. Okay, training and education from neurodivergent specialists is key. Yes, that's a plug, sorry. But whatever you do, if you want to understand what it means to be neurodivergent, yes, talk to your internal colleagues, have employee resource groups, but please get training from a specialist who knows what it's like, who's been there, who can help everyone. And you must always, always train from the top down. If you haven't got buy-in from C-suite and from your execs that this is important, there is no point giving everyone below them all the information, because all that happens is you open the floodgates of questions that the people in HR and at the top still can't answer. You've got to go the other way. You've got to. Embrace and investigate how technology can help you and applicants. Please do. There's some incredible things out there, CZ included. Consider ways to reduce anxiety at all stages of the process. And I do mean all stages. Let candidates know your application's been looked at, you're in shortlist, you're in long list. It's no more than an email, is it? And it really helps. Be open to alternative ways of recruiting and interviewing applicants. Like I've said, be very clear, specific, and prompt with all communications. Don't leave people hanging. And remember, and this has been said before, becoming neurodivergent aware is a marathon, not a sprint. You are not going to get this right as soon as you start. You will make mistakes. Fact. And if you make a mistake, somebody may say, actually, that wasn't quite right. And you've got to hold your hands up and say, okay, but hey, we are trying. Does that make sense? If we do that, we're winning, from my point of view. So, there were a lot of questions. I know we're going to do a roundtable. I'm around for the rest of the day. If you have specific questions, please come and find me and talk to me. But there are some Q&A now. Have you got the ones you sent me? Or have you got some from now?
We'll have some from Slido, but can we give you a round of applause first?